Good evening, everyone. We are back continuing our reviews of the Superman film series. And we're at 2006's Superman Returns today. We're in the lead up to the new movie coming out, James Gunn's Superman, which isn't the official title, but I feel like it should be the official title because he's on all of the marketing for that. He just can't keep himself away. So yeah, James Gunn's Superman by James Gunn. We're off to see it on Saturday, and I believe we're going to try and get all three of us on a review for that. So me, yourself, and Dale, who will be seeing the movie with me. So at some point, hopefully,
a
for
little
the first
later
time.
than you two.
Yes. So there's a little bit of overlap.
Just time difference.
Yeah. So I'm going to fire the link, and hopefully on Saturday you can join us during that conversation. I feel like from all the trailers and TV spots and whatnot that have been put out for that, I feel like I've seen the movie already, and it's not even out yet. I had the same thing with Sony and Amazing Spider-Man 2 at the time. Like, you compile all of the footage from the various trailers, and you've probably got like 20 to 30 minutes of footage that's been released cumulatively.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
I will say, James, you talk about James Gunn's name being all over this. At least he actually directed it and had a creative hand in it. I did, you say that reminded me of. Did you ever watch the show Black Flags? It's basically like Game of Thrones but minus Lord of the Rings times or plus Pirates of the Caribbean.
No, I've heard it's pretty good if it's the show. No, I'm thinking of Black Sails. Is that what you said, Black Sails?
Oh, yeah, no, Black Sails, not Black Flag. Sorry, Black Flag is the Assassin's Creed game.
Yeah. No, I've heard Black Sails is very good.
Yeah, Black Sails is pretty good, but it is marketed as like a bro show, because Game of Thrones has got the tits and the blood and the fights.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, an executive producer who had virtually nothing to do with it is just all over that show. And that would be one Michael Bay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Are there explosions? Does Megan Fox randomly have a cameo
as many
in there?
as you can, the explosions you can get with a 240-pounder gun. Pirates.
Well, yes. Well, unfortunately, there's no
barrels of gunpowder. Yeah, there are explosions.
Now you mentioned Michael Bay. I could go for a Michael Bay directed Superman film. It would all be like Murica. You'd have the Star-Spangled Banner in every single shot. You'd have the sun just at the right moment in the sky. Explosions, action. Fuck yeah. Racist robots.
I feel like that's what that's what Red Letter Media have been asking for since Dawn of AIDS.
Well, I've heard that Michael Bay might be coming back with a new Transformers film. So,
why?
With Shia LaBeouf, Megan Fox, and Mark Wahlberg, one final outing, one final ride with the Transformers.
This coming Halloween. This coming Halloween, I'm thinking of going as Shia LaBeouf in Holes 2. There is no Holes 2. This is my pitch.
Right, Superman Returns. Let's bring it back. Superman Returns. Okay, directed by one Bryan Singer. Expect many Bryan Singer / Kevin Spacey jokes during the entirety of this review. I can't resist, I'm afraid.
Did you know this movie was catered by Subway?
I did not know that. No,
it's not. But that's a joke in that vein.
Subway. Should I?
Wait, do you not know about Jared?
Should I? What? No.
Oh my God! The face of Subway diddled so many kids.
Oh no! Oh, I didn't know that. That's unfortunate. Okay, no, that was a deep cut reference right there. No, I didn't.
I'm sorry to be the one to break the news for you.
I love how we started this review so strong. Oh, but it's going to get so much
inappropriate
worse.
For a Superman Returns review.
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. So, Superman Returns, the sort of very confused homage, sequel, spiritual successor, whatever you want to call it, to Specifically,
It's a
Donner's
sequel.
Superman and Superman 2. So partially Donnor, I guess, in a way. But it doesn't
Donnor and a
follow on
half.
from it doesn't follow on from the Donnor cut of Superman 2. It's the theatrical cut
No.
of Superman 2. So yeah, it's all very confused. It's just Halloween does this all the time, where I feel like Halloween's probably done this about 4 times in its series, where we're ignoring whichever film. We're ignoring Halloween 2. We're choosing to keep Halloween 1 and 2 and ignoring the rest, and we're rebooting the franchise with Laurie Strode. And I feel like they've done that so many times throughout the franchise. And it's like, no, this is now branching off into its own continuity. And this one kind of does the same. This is meant to be a sequel, I guess, to Superman 2, but then it's only a half sequel, a homage sequel, if you will, because there's modern technology in it. People have got flip phones, plasma screens and whatnot. So it's like, are we still meant to infer that this is taking place in the 80s? Or
5 years later?
Yeah, this would be like 1985, and it
Actually,
really
okay,
isn't.
no. It's not 5 years after Superman 2. It's 5 years after he left.
Oh, okay. Okay. But it doesn't help the fact as well, and I mean, this is a no-brainer. We're talking about a film that's made 20 years after the fact. When you recast everyone, my brain immediately goes, this isn't affiliated.
Save one
this.
person.
A CGI Marlon Brando.
Yes.
Which apparently was where most of the budget for this film went, was asking for permission to use Marlon Brando's voice and likeness in the film and go into the estate for that. So even death,
beyond the grave,
he's still a cunt. Yeah, I know.
Same fucking wavelength.
I think at the time this was one of the most highest budgeted movies out there. As of 06, the budget for this thing was 223 mil, thereabouts. Made 391. So I mean, I don't know. I don't think the marketing for this film was huge. I don't think it was massively pushed. Yeah, it's something you kind of see a lot with Superman films. Even Man of Steel made something like, I think it was like 670 mil, which was probably a profit. But Superman's never really
good at the time. It was very good, except for the fact that literally while it was happening, Dark Knight Rises was breaking $1 billion. After Dark Knight was the first superhero movie to break $1 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, it's worth mentioning, as well, that this film technically did make more than Batman Begins the year previous. Batman Begins was, it was a budget of 150 mil, but that only grossed 375. So again, not wonderful, I guess. It wasn't until, as you mentioned, like The Dark Knight just came out and blew everything out of the water. But yeah, this seems to be the way of Warner Brothers, though, doesn't it? Every few years they'll go, right, we're lagging behind, let's reboot Batman or let's reboot Superman, but then it will be this awkward, you'll have a Batman film come out and a Superman film come out around about the same time, but they're in totally different universes, and then plans are kind of scuppered to combine them. That they lose their way, and then they'll come back with another Superman reboot or another Batman reboot, and we're living it again now. It's almost like 20 years later, or almost. It's Groundhog Day again. Back then you had Batman Begins and Superman Returns, and now we've got James Gunn's Superman, and a question mark after the Batman, the 2022 movie. Although the script's meant to be written now for the Batman Part 2, but I think all eyes on those Warner Brothers executives are looking at what James Gunn's Superman's going to make this week. And early reviews are out, and they ain't good. And I must admit, everything I've seen looks fucking diabolical. I think this could spell the end of James Gunn's career. You know how J.J. Abrams is still in director jail after doing Episode 9? Like, you just haven't heard anything from J.J. Abrams since 2019. I think this could go the same way for James Gunn. because he keeps saying he's now on the defense. He's like, oh, this film doesn't need to make $1 billion. This film doesn't need to be a success. He's almost like, this film doesn't need to be a success to be a success. I'm like, it kind of does. This is the first film in your new franchise.
The only type of movie where you can kind of say that is one of those movies where the director intentionally sabotages it to fuck over the studio. But even then, you're still like, it's still not good.
Do you think he's James Gunn's a plant from Marvel to tear DC apart from the inside?
Oh,
He's
that-
like
that Guardians of the Galaxy money.
He's like Lonnie from Andor. He's just reporting back to Marvel. He's like, I've worked my way up to now be like the CEO of the... Yeah. It's 50 men plus James Gunn. We've got Bath Time in the comments who says, big up lads.
I did have a question for him.
I've been sick for 5 fucking days and I'm ready to jump into the sun to get rid of it. Well, if you like Superman, it'll recharge you. So sorry to hear you've been under the weather, man. Hope you're all right and bouncing back from that. And he says, oh my God, the posters are back. They are. And they have McKellen's signature on it now, and it's wonderful. And he signed it in the correct pen, in the correct place I wanted. I'm very, very happy.
Oh, those posters. Yes, I saw that. Yes. I was very confused.
Bath Time says the plane sequence I think is my favorite Superman moment on film, apart from the quick costume changes in the first. Yeah, we'll be talking about that because there are some high points in this film. I'm not going to act like there aren't. There are some good things to it. It's just bogged down by a lot of other stuff, which we'll also talk about. Bath Time says I also really liked when they play chopsticks on the piano. I quite like this film, to be honest. I think it's going to be
that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that is a reference to Tom Hanks in Big?
Well, they're not playing a giant foot keyboard, so no,
but
I don't think so.
Song, and it's the juxtaposition of the different characters and
it's a different song in Big, isn't it? No, they play a different song.
I'm pretty sure it is exactly that song.
I might fight you on that one. We'll have to take that to the clip afterwards. I'm pretty sure it's a different song.
Or just somebody in the comments Google it. I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong, but I'm almost certain that I'm right.
Mm-hmm. Confused state of this film being a spiritual successor, and in all honesty, to me, that sort of hamstrings the film right from the get-go, because constantly my mind is flip-flopping that you've basically lifted huge amounts of the plot from the first Superman movie. There's a lot of uninspired choices in this in terms of the story. I think that's probably one of its biggest downfalls of this film overall. There's
Come on, Chris, I want to hear you say it.
What?
I want to hear you say it. It's on the tip of your tongue. You've heard me say it. And I want to hear you say it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
This movie deserves the reputation of Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Oh, it is. Yeah, I can totally see that. And actually, funny you should mention that. Before they settled on this idea for Superman Returns, there were loads of Superman film projects that were dead in the water between Superman 4 and by the time we got this movie. There's the revered Tim Burton one with Nicolas Cage and everything that went down with that one. There was also, I think they were working on a film called Superman Flyby, which was going to be directed by Terminator Salvation's McG, and with a screenplay by one J.J. Abrams.
Yes. It was between that. It was either between Flyby or Batman versus Superman.
Yes. And then Bryan Singer came along, and it's amazing, 2 X-Men films under his belt, and then eventually he'd also do Days of Future Past as well. He also says he's not a comic book fan. I'm like, you've directed 2 X-Men films and then jumped ship. Like, he abandoned X-Men The Last Stand. That's probably one of the reasons why the third one sucks so much. And this was a passion project for him. He was a big fan of Donnor's Superman, and I think he even pitched his idea, the tagline for this, if you will, the synopsis of Superman returning to Earth after a 5-year absence. And Donnor said he really enjoyed the idea and sort of gave it his blessing. He went to the studio, pitched his idea because I think things were falling apart and falling through with Superman Flyby. And we got Superman Returns. But I can totally see those Force Awakens comparisons that you're mentioning, in that it's so hamstrung trying to tie itself back into what we've had before, with little to no identity of its own, or taking it in a brand new direction.
Yeah, it's using literally the beats of the past to tell this new story.
Yeah.
Like, somebody had an idea for the story, but not necessarily much of an idea for the plot.
Yeah. That's the worst thing, I think, for me, especially like the runtime as well. I know a lot of criticisms levied against the runtime, and I think that's justified. It's like 220, isn't it? Sorry, 154 minutes. Wow, Jesus Christ, pushing 3 hours essentially. And isn't that sort of how long? Well, I mean, there's 3 different cuts, isn't there, of the original Superman film? Was the original theatrical like 220 or something? I think the theatrical version 230 for the special edition.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and then there's the reality.
I think it was 224.
Yeah, and there's so many scenes in this film where the way that they're filmed, they are quite drawn out and long, and they're not really photographed in an interesting way or blocked out very interestingly. The best scene, and I agree with Bath Time, it probably is one of the best on-screen Superman scenes out of all of them, is the plane sequence, and that's one of the very, very few action scenes in this film. There really isn't much Superman action. I messaged you after that scene. I was like, right, well, it's just a steady drop to the bottom now, isn't it? All the way through. There are some good scenes sprinkled through, and I think like Brandon Routh does a pretty good job. He doesn't have anywhere near the level of charisma though as Christopher Reeve.
Not at all.
Zero. What the fuck were they thinking with casting Kate Bosworth, who plays an incredibly uninspired Lois Lane in this? And there's zero chemistry between her and Routh. She comes across as really mean-spirited and just kind of bitchy, and I don't like her character at all. And I loved every single scene of seeing Margot Kidder and Christopher Reeve together. Throughout all 4, to be honest, we talked about a lot of the problems with 4 and even 3 to some respect. I know she's barely in that film, but they always turned in a great performance, no matter the quality of the rest of the film. And unfortunately, I can't really say that with a lot of the performances in this one. A lot of the performances just feel very flat, lifeless, emotionless, which also doesn't help with the runtime being way up there, because it just makes the film feel even longer than it is. The one actor who feels like the film feels very confused, because on the one hand it is trying to be just exactly the same like the Donnor films, but it lacks any of the humor, the charm, the colorful, larger than life nature to it, and just
I know where this is going.
The only actor that captures it perfectly, I will say, is Kevin Spacey. He's the only one that feels like he's nailing the well. I won't talk about what Kevin Spacey's probably nailing during the production of this, but he gets that comedic tone. He has those moments of intensity, but he also, it's a good successor to Gene Hackman, I'd say. I think he sort of like plays the character.
Yeah, he does.
And I kind of wish the rest of the film matched that tone that Spacey was bringing to it.
You know how I live with an actor?
How? No, I don't. Oh, is this a real question? No, I didn't know
my
that.
roommate's an actor, and somebody he's worked with, Spacey tried to pick up. Anyway. So did Russell Crowe.
Oh, wow. But yeah, I mean, Spacey was handpicked by Bryan Singer. It's all coming together like an episode of Poirot, isn't it? I know he'd worked with him before on The Usual Suspects, and this is what it's so difficult, because Kevin Spacey and fucking Bryan Singer are absolute monsters, but Kevin Spacey's such a good actor because he's been doing it all of his life, and his performances are great. He's always solid. He's an amazing actor.
Yeah, it's how he got away with it for so long.
Yeah, I know. And it doesn't help that Brandon Routh was the youngest Superman at the time, who was casted. You have scenes of Brandon Routh Superman cast, sorry, creepily staring at his son at night
Oh my
time.
god! He breaks
that,
into his room.
Yeah, I mean that poor boy who plays Superman's son in this. Oh,
Which I guess we keep saying that is kind of a spoiler.
Yeah. By the way, just real quick aside, Bryan Singer. The last I heard about that guy was when, like the whole Me Too stuff was happening and people were speaking out about things. He just fled, didn't he? I think they were looking for him or wanted to question him, and I think he was halfway through filming a film, wasn't he? He was shooting a film, I think. And he just exited the set and no one saw him again. And that's the last I heard of Bryan Singer. Did anyone actually find him? Has he moved country? Has he changed his name?
I don't know. I'm just thinking of that Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where Frank is wearing the microphone at the police at the police interview. And he's like, "Okay, Frankie, you're caught. You're caught." He destroyed all the evidence. They can't prove anything. Go, Cabby. Patty's Pub. You got to get out of here quick. I just got caught saying a bunch of illegal stuff I definitely did.
That was it. Bohemian Rhapsody, 2018. Yeah, that was the last thing he worked on.
Yeah, that was Brian.
He was the director on that, and he jumped ship, and then someone had to basically come in and finish off the film. Yeah, that was it. That was it. And it was the director of the Elton John one, Rocket Man, who came in to patch this movie up. Because yeah, as Bath Time says, he did a
good thing he came in. It's a good thing he came in when he did, because otherwise it was going to be a long, long time before they finished that movie.
Do you remember? Oh, sorry. Bath Time says Abrams might be in director jail, but those two are avoiding actual jail. Well, they know too much. They're too in deep. That's why. I mean, the same things fucking happened. Well, not exactly the same thing, although it might have done with Diddy with the trial. You seen all of that and the fallout of that?
I haven't been keeping up with it, but I've gotten some periphery.
Yeah, it's just. Do you remember those really creepy, random Kevin Spacey videos that he uploaded like a good amount of years ago now around Christmas Day or Christmas
Trying
Eve?
To get the job back as the senator for House of Cards.
Yeah, but they were so creepy. Especially because we knew, and the fact that the one person who was like blowing the whistle about it all found himself suicided. And Kevin Spacey did a video on Christmas, and he said something like, maybe he just killed them with kindness. And I was like, oh, this is really creepy. And then he did a video saying, it's the holidays. It's a very trying time of year for a lot of people. So if you're not feeling great, please speak to someone, like suicide prevention. I'm like, you absolute fucking cunt. Like, but he was... You have to distance yourself, because I'm watching it. I'm like, he's giving a performance right now, and he always plays a great villain. He always delivers a fucking great performance, but that's all it is. It's like, oh, okay, we've got to distance ourselves from the art and the artist right now for the rest of the review. I'm going to try, because we need to talk about this movie proper. Let's talk about sort of like backstory with this film then. Did you see this in theaters? Did you see this on home video? What was the first time that you saw this in theaters? Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I saw it in theaters, and I probably saw it on DVD twice. And yeah. Actually, I think I saw it in theaters twice, quite possibly. I was camping with my brothers. The host was my eldest brother, and he's my half brother from my father's first marriage, and my older brother, who I grew up with, was there as well. And his best friend came to the campground, hung out with us, and then we went and saw Superman Returns in 3D. And the one thing that really sticks out is just us getting in the car, the friend turning around and just yelling Superman. That's
I
it.
didn't know.
That's real. That's the only thing that actually. Oh, and also, it was kind of weird that it was one of those 3D movies where it's like when this symbol appears in the corner of your screen, put your 3D glasses on.
I see. I didn't even know this got a 3D conversion. That's news to me right now. I didn't know this was in 3D. Oh, hello.
Yeah, I mean, didn't you see the? Because remember when at the when the plane is about to crash on the Kryptonite Island, and
Oh,
it
when it does
falls
the Back
down
to the
the
Future shot
wall, and
and comes back up.
yeah, where it flies at the camera. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
for the 3D crowd.
This film's already incredibly dark. I can't even imagine watching this through 3D lenses. Although, actually, at the time,
Yeah.
wasn't this the red and blue still around this time?
No,
Did
no,
that?
no, no. I think these were like 3D, like shaded ones that I saw. These might have been the first,
Mhm.
because my
I was gonna
previous
say if.
experience would have been with Spy Kids 3D.
Yes, yeah, no, I went to see that in the theater. That was cool. You know what? Red and blue lenses actually wouldn't be out of place for Superman Returns. You could
Oh
market that.
fuck!
Yeah, but I
Actually, the thing is, the costume might ruin that.
yeah. Can we let's talk about the color palette real quick of this film? This is honestly,
It
if
looks
I'm
like
going by
vomit.
it, yeah, if I'm going by one of the ugliest looking films ever, this and Solo: A Star Wars Story are usually the main two contenders for that category. It just looks so lifeless, and again, trying to capture that spirit of the Donnor films, which was so bright and colorful. We talked about how the colors of the costume just pop, and everything in this is so muted. Everything's got sort of this like brownish green sepia color to it almost in a way. And it just looks really unappealing. It's this very long drawn out film, and then when you've got a color palette that just doesn't pop, it's I don't know. There's moments where Superman's flying and the way that it's just shot, there's none of these like wonderful shots of seeing him take off or flying across the screen. It's all very quick, and because it's so dark and muted, it's difficult to make out stuff a lot of the time. Um, yeah, I don't know what the thought process was, especially because you've got Bryan Singer behind the camera, who clearly has an affinity for that original Superman film. You would expect the final product to look very bright and uplifting. So I don't know if this is something that got fucked in post production a little bit, maybe if they were tinkering with the colors there. Because
The
yeah, this.
brownness is not dissimilar from Batman Begins.
Do you think they were trying? I mean, Gotham does get name dropped in this movie. Do you think they were trying to set up some potential crossover with that and Begins around this point?
Gotham is mentioned in a very arbitrary added, could have just been added in post way, so that would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. We got Carl who says, I always remember the bullet bouncing off Superman's eye from the trailer. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent
Yeah,
here, but it does link to
they wasted
your
that shot
display
in the trailer.
picture. I remember it from
Wait,
Epic Movie, where the guy gets shot in the eye and he's like, "Oh, that really hurt! Why would you do that?" And he like falls off the skyscraper, which also stars as one of the main protagonists. The guy in your display
this
picture,
guy,
is it Harold or Kumar from Harold and Kumar? I don't know which one because I've never seen it.
his name is Cal Penn.
But yeah, he's an epic, and he's randomly in this. Barely any lines of
Not
dialogue.
only that, not only that, isn't he there when the white bitch explains the plot? That's literally just Lex Luthor's plot from this.
I think so. I think so. And yeah, does he have any lines of dialogue in this film? He's sort of like the Otis character,
No,
I guess.
no, he does not. But I have no doubt that there is a cut of this movie where he has plenty of dialogue because
Mhm.
okay, his the first time he is acknowledged when he's cutting the crystal and then he's putting it in the water, he gets hit in the hand and he fucks it up. I think he was the Otis.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, he's kind of there's some buffoonery, and there's a moment where Lex rolls his eyes at his buffoonery. You just need that bomb,
And then there's a
bomb,
moment where he
bomb,
dies.
bomb.
Like they stop and they're like, "Oh my god, he's dead."
So I'm like, Superman indirectly caused the death of all of Lex's henchmen. Are we going to talk about that? Superman's
Nah.
like, I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you. Like, it's just... How does Superman pick up that giant landmass at the end? Because that's been infused with kryptonite. But he manages
The
to lift it
tectonic plate
into
underneath it
space.
has not.
Yeah, he manages to lift it into space just long enough before the kryptonite shows itself, and then all of a sudden it has an effect on him.
Yeah, no, I think
This,
I'm pretty because we see him dig underneath it, so I'm pretty sure he's literally lifting the island up by the tectonic plate, and
yeah,
then at the end the kryptonite is poking through, and he's got to go.
there's a couple of
I mean, the
repeated
timing
beats.
in this movie is very convenient for the plot,
Mhm.
including Kevin Spacey just deciding to do this now.
Yeah, there's a few repeated beats towards the end of this film because you have the probably one of my favorite scenes, if not the plane sequences. But if I'm going to pick another scene, it's the moment where Kevin Spacey, just Lex Luthor, sorry, is beating up Superman, and the effects of kryptonite are taking over, and it's this really brutal scene. The music in this scene as
The
well.
effects of the
Talk
what?
about the kryptonite. Oh, kryptonite. Sorry, there we go. And yeah,
Thank
John
you.
Ottman's John Ottman's score in this moment is great too. We'll talk about that as a separate section, but I really like this scene. And you have the moment where this is the low point, right? This is where Superman, oh no, he's dead. He's beaten. He's bested. Falls off the landmass into the water, which, if he was mortal at this point, should kill him. Unless I guess he still has some effects of still being Superman, and he hits the water and he's fine. And then he
Also,
recharges, and then
at
you,
this stage in sorry, the physics of popular culture that would keep you alive at this point in time. Like in
yeah,
2006, people thought you would survive that, so therefore
yeah.
he did.
And then he's rejuvenated. The shard is removed out of his side, and he charges himself up in front of the sun, which is a really cool shot, cool moment. And then that's where you're like, yeah, now Superman's back, and we get to our ending of our movie. But then we do the landmass thing, and then we have another moment where he's weakened by kryptonite,
Where he
and then
falls
yeah,
out.
and it's like we've repeated this beat twice, and it's that runtime is just stretching out more and more. The whole bit with him in at the hospital at the end, where Superman is dead, kind of thing, like the death of Superman in a way. I completely forgot that whole section was in the film. That was like I was watching a new film. I was like, I do not remember any of this being here. I remembered him picking the landmass up into space, but I thought that was just it, and he'd like save the day. But it goes on for a while. They're trying to resuscitate him, and he's in the hospital bed, and Lois and her son come to see him. And I'm like, this is going on. We're dragging this ending out quite a bit, aren't we? But yeah, I didn't remember them doing the death of Superman really in that scene.
The
Discuss.
Yeah, well, no, sorry. Well, just going back to the earlier section where everything is. I mean, everybody has a. They're just gonna die. Like you really could just like with some clever editing kill everyone good in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's not even hard. It's not like you would need to. Oh, now I need to remove them from this shot. No, 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 no. Just remove this section of the movie, have this stuff happen at the same time, and everyone dies.
What do we think to the new suit, by the way? Brandon Routh's new suit.
It's over designed. It's everything like it's taking the simplistic suit that Christopher Reeve wore, and it's trying to modernize it, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks like pajamas.
That's the same criticism I have with the new suit that we've got for James Gunn's Superman. Yeah, no, I agree. I tell you the one thing that I hate most about this suit. There's a lot of things I hate about this suit, but the plasticky, leathery cape. What are we doing with that? I hate that. I
I
hate that
don't
so
mind
much.
that. I don't mind that at all, actually. It's what I don't like is how matte the blue is, because we
Mm-hmm.
really can't see the definition of his muscles.
Yes, no, I agree with that. And this is a similar criticism that I have with the Cavill suit as well. And it sort of originates from this, is that you've got it's not just like a plain suit like Christopher Reeves was. It's all this like mesh design all over it and embossed. And overly busy. I hate that. So like, just give me like a flat costume. That's
See,
fine.
I don't mind it in the not in the Christopher Reeve, in the Henry Cavill one, because it just looks like this alien weave. In this, it's literally a bunch of smaller S's.
Yeah, yeah. And the boots as well look terrible and over designed
There's
too.
so many fucking S's on this costume,
I'm also not keen on the
and not
logo.
one on the cape.
Yeah, I know. I'm also not keen on the logo on his chest, like the redesigned logo a little bit. It looks really cheap
It's
and tacky.
3D.
Yeah,
Why does it look so like
I
it looks like soft foam on a kid's t-shirt.
I actually haven't seen you know how sometimes they tour these costumes round that have been used in all these films and whatnot. I actually haven't seen the original on-set costume because I want to say like the colors look really muted and the cape looks like a browny burgundy rather than red. And I don't know if that's something that's just been fucked over in the color correction, the post-production
I
stage of
think
the
that's the
movie.
color correction because
Yeah, yeah.
literally look at the image behind us.
And I think it's the same with Cavill's suit as well. Had the same thing in that you see some on set pictures of that, and it's so bright and you just know they just dragged that desaturate bar down all the way. No, not quite a black and white. We're not at the Justice League edit right there. We're just gonna notch it up a tad, and that's it.
Yeah, actually,
Yeah.
you know what? And as if to prove your point, I did not notice that he was in a black suit in the with the conversation with Zod in his head
Oh,
until
really? Yeah.
until I watched the Man of Tomorrow edit.
hmm Wait, actually no. I'm discovering this for the first time too. Wait, he's not in his normal costume in that scene.
It's because it's entirely in his head in front of the
Yeah,
Kent
yeah,
farm.
yeah.
So first, he's he is in front of he's in just his Smallville clothes with like a lumberjack shirt.
hmm
And then the shockwave of the world engine hitting the ground passes them, and they're both in classic Kryptonian attire with capes.
Right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I didn't
But
catch
Hen-
that.
but Superman's is black
Mhm.
because that's what they would have wore on Krypton.
Yeah. Yeah. If I'm just gonna quickly just run through like the rest of the cast. So I mentioned that I think Spacey is the standout. I quite like Parker Posey as Kitty, the stand-in Miss Tessmacher character in this one. I think she has some the bit where Superman's getting beaten up and it keeps cutting back to her and she's crying and she's wanting the beating to stop of Superman. Like she acts that really well. I do like her. It reminds me of a Harley Quinn thing, which I also mentioned with the Miss Tessmacher thing too. I did get a laugh out of that moment where with her brakes being cut on the car, and she's like, "You didn't have to actually cut the brakes," and Lex is like, "Of course I did, because a guy can always tell when a woman's lying, especially Superman." I don't know. I thought that scene was funny, and the bit with the dog at the
Oh,
end. On
not when a
the
woman is lying, when a woman is faking it.
oh, faking it.
It's
That's it.
very overtly innuendo.
Oh yes, yeah, no, you're right. Oh, speaking of which, you've showed me pleasures that I'd never known. It's a weird
You
moment to
showed
start
me
your film, isn't it?
pleasures I never could have dreamed of, or something like that. But yeah, he yeah, and then in the scene immediately following that one, we cut to the Kent farm where a gentleman is pulling away.
Or at least he's not pulling out.
Uh, not anymore.
It's just such a
I mean, she's
random.
old.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, she was old in the original film, so. But yeah, did actually that woman, that like the old woman who he like fucks his way into the inheritance? Isn't that a
Yeah,
cameo of like a actress who was in like a Superman TV show or like an earlier film or something? I feel like that was someone from a previous thing.
probably somebody from Superman and Lois, not Superman and Lois, Lois and Clark.
Yeah,
Um, which
because I
by the way,
mean,
it was just
oof.
going to be a show about. It was going to be Lois Lane, Daily Reporter, and just about her and Superman might show up sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad
It's
they didn't
just,
go with that route.
yeah, it's just such a random opening scene because you have your. I love the intro to this film, by the way. You get like the little text screen, which I've heard rumors that James Gunn's Superman is going to have a scrolling Star Wars like opening crawl to it that's going to describe the origins of Superman. So we just get that out of the way. And then when I saw the text screen at the beginning of this film, I'm like, well, that kind of achieves the same end, doesn't it? It sort of recaps what happened in the first film and a bit about Superman's history, in case you didn't know. And then we're in space. We get the classic credits. We get to hear that John Williams theme, beautifully reorchestrated by John Ottman, who's also the editor of the film. I didn't know if you knew that. He's a pretty good video editor as well. And then right after that, we're like, fuck yeah, let's go, Superman, woo! And then I'm guessing in the original cut, wasn't it the original opening of Superman discovering Krypton, or was that going to take place before
Yes.
the opening titles?
So I don't remember exactly the placement, but I think there might even be like a director's cut or an extended cut where it's still in there. I
Mm-hmm.
genuinely don't know, but the way it like I believe this is before anything else. Like I think we would get a title at like because the camera it's a perfect point for the camera to fly away from in space.
Yeah. Apparently, there was a couple of prequel comics to this film that bridge the gap between Superman 2 and this film. I don't know if you've ever read those. I haven't, but
I have
I found
not.
out that there was some. Yeah, and apparently that really fills in the gaps, much needed gaps between the
Well,
two films.
apparently this guy, the guy speaking to you right now, um, he is worked at the Daily Planet or some or no, I think he's the astronomer who rumored that he found Krypton, and then Lois Lane outed him after Superman left,
Mm.
which is why he's bitter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we don't get that in the final film, do we? Again,
No, not at all.
this is like Force Awakens again. You might not recognize me because of the red arm. How did he get his red arm? Don't know. We'll have to read the prequel comic and find out.
Yeah, there's a comic that's like about droid self-awareism and memory wipes and identity, and it's fucking crazy.
This is actually a really good comment here from well, we've got one from Carl who says the new film seems to be getting mixed reviews. Some love it and others say it's a mess. Bath Time says, I mean, The Mummy with Tom Cruise, I think, tanked a cinematic universe in one go. Yeah, it did. The Dark Universe. Remember that? Maybe Dracula Untold was involved, but surely it can't stop the DCU, can it? No, so Dracula Untold was a separate film. That wasn't in the Dark Universe. Maybe they could have got to the point where they did drag that one in. I don't think they had plans for a Dracula, did they? Do you remember the cast photo that they did? They put
Yeah.
all their eggs in the basket. They were like, Javier Bardem is Frankenstein's monster, and I think was Johnny Depp the Invisible Man, and I think you had Angelina Jolie as the Bride of Frankenstein or something like that. I remember that cast photo and actually being kind of hyped for it, and then we got The Mummy. So yeah, I mean, if this film does fucking terribly and flops, if it doesn't make as much money as Man of Steel, they've got problems. I think it's going to have a massive opening weekend, and then I think it's going to have a huge drop off. You know, like Batman versus Superman did that, where it was like a 70% drop off or something. Like the second week it came out, it was a high percentage drop off. I think we're going to get the same thing with this one. But if it doesn't make money, even though James Gunn's like, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, we're going to keep the ball rolling. I've announced all these films. Yeah, when he first did that video announcement, he says that he was going to follow this movie up with the oh god, what's the team of superheroes called? This just goes to show how memorable they are.
The
The
Justice Society?
no. It's like a really obscure fucking group. Let me have a look. It begins with A. It's not like the Avengers, of course. The Authority. That was it. The Authority. That was what he was going to follow his Superman movie up with. I've never fucking heard of the Authority, and you're going to follow that up with Superman. So our next one, I think it's all filmed, and I think it's in the can. is Supergirl, which is meant to be coming out next year. And I'm sorry, but if Superman doesn't make bank and is a loss and flops, you ain't gonna recoup that with Supergirl. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen as your second film.
That
So
that reminds me. First off, I just do you remember the idea I had about the Tom Cruise Mummy movie that I think they should have done? And it was like, I'm like, you're gonna hate this idea. It's awful. I love it.
was it bringing in like Brendan Fraser at the end or something, like a cross universe thing?
No, so much worse.
Oh no, go on.
You're in the right well, but it's so much worse than that.
Go on.
In You know how Russell Crowe is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
Mm-hmm.
So as you may recall, in The Mummy Returns, we learn that one Evelyn O'Connell is the reincarnation of Nefertiti, one of the pharaoh's daughters or mistresses or whatever, and she slowly regains her memories from the past to help with the plot sometimes when it's convenient, or
Mm-hmm.
there's an action scene where she needs to like fight another woman.
Yes.
Instead of Russell Crowe, bring in Rachel Weisz to be
Oh no.
Evelyn O'Connell.
Oh no.
However,
This is
she
awful.
keeps her alternate personality at bay using a pendant of Anubis, a jackal totem, earning her the moniker Dr.
Oh,
Jackal.
actually, fuck you. That's kind of fucking
And when her
awesome, but also terrible.
exactly, I hate it. I love it.
That's like a who are you with? Who are your people? Oh, I don't have any. I came alone. Oh, okay. Han
Han
Solo.
Solo. The other thing I just
I
want to say,
love it.
because you mentioned Supergirl.
Yes.
Supergirl is why they sold the rights to Superman to Canon.
Oh, really?
Like,
Yeah, because
Supergirl
of the
didn't do
loss.
well, so they're like, well, I guess his time in the sun is over, pun intended.
The thing is, like, I don't know how you know when it's like when you're going through hell, keep going. I don't know at what stage Warner Brothers can pull the plug. I don't know if they can pull the plug. Because as far as I heard, Warner Brothers really aren't doing well, and there were rumors that they might get sold off to like another company because they're really not doing great.
Oh my god, please let Disney buy them. That would be so
No,
fucking funny.
no. I've heard potentially. I think Sony potentially. I think I've heard maybe involved, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay. So we'd have like a battle.
because if you think about it, what was the last financially successful DC movie? I'll tell you what it was. It was The Batman 2022. Since then, what did they do? We had Shazam 2, flop. Black Adam, flop. Blue Beetle, do you remember that one? Flop. Joker 2, flop. If I might be forgetting one as well. I think that's all of. Oh, Aquaman 2, flop. If James Gunn Superman also flops, it's not good. And the thing is, like, do you burn through DC movies that are either already wrapped? Like, do you pour millions into it and the post production and the marketing and everything, getting it out there, knowing that it's going to lose you millions? Is it better to take the just
I got two
write it
words
off?
for you.
Do like a tax write off? Like,
I got two words for you. Batwoman.
yeah, that's what. Is it one word? Two words.
Death Star.
Oh, I hate that. Batwoman is one word. It's not even hyphenated. It's one word.
Okay.
Yeah, so just bringing it back to Superman Returns real quick. I'm just going to fire through some of like the supporting cast who get changed out. Frank Langella's pretty good as Perry White. He definitely doesn't play it the same way as the actor from the Donnor films, the Christopher Reeve films.
Mhm.
It's a very different energy to him, but it kind of works. It still kind of works as a Perry White for me. He's not as shouty. He's not as J. Jonah Jameson, I guess. The one I really like though is Sam Huntington as Jimmy Olsen. I think he really has that plucky,
Yeah,
like new kid on the block.
nailed
And
it.
yeah, he's really good in it with his,
Mr.
he's walking
Ken
around with
or
his camera.
Mr. Clark.
Yeah, he's really good in this. I mean, it's a shame that some of these actors we didn't get to see more. That's a question for you. I don't know if you want to answer this now or maybe wait till later after we've had a bit more of a discussion on it, but let's say that this had a huge financial success and they guaranteed the green light on a sequel for it. Where do you take this film? Because so much of it is wrapped up with like the son of Superman, and rewatching it again, there's loads of moments where it feels like it's a passing of the torch movie where the son's coming into his powers and just discovering what he can do. There's the bit at the end where he's like touching the Superman costume, and it feels like the Mutt Williams moment from the end of Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where he goes to pick up the fedora hat, Indiana Jones, and it's like the mantle has been passed.
You mean the scene where somebody kisses Superman while he's asleep again?
Yes.
When he's incapacitated by kryptonite?
Yeah. And Bryan Singer's just stroking one off behind the camera.
After I saved you. It's so fucked up, Miss Tessmacher.
But yeah, like what do you do? Like I feel like Brainiac would have been a good direction to go in, maybe.
So I mean, you do a bit of a you do a bit of a passing of the torch movie, and then you bring Jude Law in as Brainiac, and you have him reveal himself as the real last Kryptonian, but then actually he's a robot, and then he takes over the mind of the kid, and then instead of a cool Jude Law versus Brandon Routh battle, you get the teenager playing the older kid versus Brandon Routh.
Mm. You're in an awkward place though, because I'm guessing a sequel to this thing would have been fast tracked. You would have had a sequel maybe 2 to 3 years after this one, maybe like 2008, 2009 kind of time. The kid's still going to be young, and you can't really do any kind of compelling story unless you do a massive time jump.
They would do a time jump. Again, I'm not making this up. By the way, this was a real plot synopsis for the sequel, the intended sequel to this.
Oh, okay.
That's why I'm like kind of salty about like the idea of like, oh, I want to see Jude Law as Brainiac fighting Brandon Routh as Superman, not Brainiac possessing the kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, so if you were turning this into a trilogy, then what I would do is you'd have Brainiac in the second one, and it'd be fine, and the kid's there. He's coming into his powers, maybe getting a little bit stronger. And then the third movie, you do you bring Lex back, and you do the whole Doomsday thing. You do the death of Superman properly this time, and then you pass the mantle on to the kid becoming the new Superman for like a new trilogy or something. It closes the book on the Christopher Reeve stuff.
Steel in there?
What? Sorry.
Do you include Steel in there?
Steel?
Steel.
Oh, I was going to say, well, baby, I've like a kiss from a rose. Steel. Oh, yeah. So you're talking about, so that there's like all the other 4 Supermen, isn't there? Yeah, I guess you could have Steel in there. Why not? You could bring Shaq back.
I was going to say, good.
Let's talk about some other high points in this film then, because there are some great scenes. We've talked about the plane scene, which is there's one shot in particular, and I recorded as I was watching it on the TV. I recorded it to you and sent it to you on Messenger, and it's the bit where Superman looks down at the plane, flies down towards it, the wing breaks off, and he fucking blasts through the wing, and I'm like, fire. I'm like, that is a cool shot. I love that when he's like gets underneath the plane, like the nose of the plane, how it like
it collapses.
all the metal like buckles, like that's cool. There's so much cool stuff in this.
Oh, like the windows in the Matrix when the helicopter hits it.
Yeah. Speaking of Matrix, we get a moment in the film, which I don't like that moment in the scene. It's very weird, and to me, it breaks up the pace of that action scene. She like reaches for a pen in zero gravity, doesn't she? Lois Lane or something focuses on this pen as she reaches for it, and then we're back to the action scene. I don't like that bit. I think they could have just removed that and kept the intensity of the action scene going. Couldn't Superman have just picked the plane up and flew it to somewhere that wasn't a baseball stadium?
I mean, I guess he could have, but okay, to do that, that would mean he would have to hold it by the nose upward, which means everybody on the plane would be horizontal,
Mm-hmm.
like facing down.
Bath Time says that pen stuff was probably 3D bait for JX and his very confusing family tree. So yeah, that's a great scene. There's great little moments, like the way certain things are shot. The bit with like where he gets shot in the eye, that is a cool looking shot. I don't know where a fucking bank robber gets a Gatling gun like that though. It's like it's not even just like a Gatling gun. It's like on a fucking turret. I was gonna say to you, like, I know this film just cliffs everything from the original Superman movie. You have that montage of Superman saving people in Donnor's Superman, and you have the bank robber who's or the robber who's climbing up the window with the suction cups. I actually wanted to do a check to see if this moment in the film with the bank robber happens at exactly the same time in like the runtime of the film. It wouldn't surprise me. You're trying to match those beats almost down to a T.
I wish I had checked.
Same with like the helicopter crash, and you know, statistically, it's the safest way to travel. And 40 minutes into this movie, you have the plane where he delivers that line again, pretty much. So it does make you wonder. I know the run times are different, but I'm just thinking,
holy fucking shit! Jesus, okay, this movie, Force Awakens, Superman 4, Return of the Jedi.
I don't follow.
Again, rehashes a bunch of the same bits, including.
Nah,
I hope this is put none of you off of subway travel.
Oh, don't mention subway with this movie again,
statistically speaking, it's still the safest way to. Yeah,
we can't mention subway
Superman
again in this
4...
video after everything you've told me.
Wait, Sega? Oh my god, Subway.
Yeah.
I told you one thing.
Let's see. What else can we talk about? Some other scenes. The bit where Superman charges himself up in the sun. Fucking awesome. Love that shot. There are some great shots. However, a lot of the cool Superman shots are... There's some strange choices as to why he was captured in CGI in so many of the close-up profile shots. You got Superman whizzing around the screen, far away. Of course, have your CGI Superman. That's totally cool. Haven't got a problem with that. But there's the final flyaway, and Routh flies right past the camera, and it's just the CGI version of him, and it looks awful. It is not aged well at all, and I just think, just get him on a fucking background.
You're talking about still on the planet, not the one in space. Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's just when you've got yeah.
I'm okay with it doing this. Every time I see this or CGI Dwayne Johnson in The Mummy Returns, it's we're getting there. But like for there, because the shot in Infinity War where the first time Iron Man puts on the suit and we get him tapping his I'd say the CGI face looks good.
When the mask comes on, it's just like it crossfades onto his face. What are you talking about?
Wait a second. I'm talking about the fact that he's a 100% CGI model in that shot.
Wait, the bit where where he's with Doctor Strange and Hulk, and you've got the what's his name?
When he taps the thing on his chest and the nanites go over his body, start to go over his body, he's 100% CGI.
Oh, I didn't know that. The bit where he steps up to the camera and like takes his shades off, and the Iron Man face just
Yeah,
crossfades onto his face. That looks terrible. As does
but does
Mark
he
Ruff.
look terrible?
Well, the crossfade effect. I'm like that. We had better effects in '08 with Iron Man 1. Like,
We're
what are
not
we
talking
fucking
about the
doing?
crossfade effect, Chris. Shut. Like we're literally. This is literally a conversation about CGI faces.
I don't even remember that moment, so it hasn't stayed with me. But then
Like you
apparently,
seem to remember the fucking crossfade effect.
because it was
But
so fucking bad, just like Mark Ruffalo's floating fucking head
Chris,
on the
for there
Hulkbuster
to
armor.
be a crossfade effect, there had to be a first frame over which there was that first frame is a CGI face, and then it crossfades onto the Iron Man helmet. What did you think of the first
It
frame?
was no, it was Robert Downey Jr. That when he walks up to the camera and he takes his shades off as he approaches the fucking alien guy whose name I forget in Infinity War, that is Robert Downey Jr. It's not CGI Robert
No,
Downey
no, no,
Jr.
no, 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 no. When he takes specifically the shot where he takes his shades off, that is CGI.
I don't fucking remember that scene, so I'm sorry. I can't. I've got no frame of
Then how do
comparison
you
here.
know he took his fucking shades off?
I remember the profile shot where he walks up to the fucking alien and the fucking mask comes on.
Yes,
I remember
that
that.
shot.
You just told me it wasn't that shot. What the fuck are you talking about?
I don't. What do you?
Dude, no. Shut the fuck up. I just said about the helmet. You said stop banging on about the helmet. I'm not talking about that scene. You just said
No,
that.
I'm not talking about the effect. No, no, you keep banging on about the effect of the helmet going onto his face. I don't give a shit about the effect of the. Oh, now I'm answering your question too well. What the fuck is going on right now, Chris?
Thank you everyone for joining me for Superman Returns
Chris,
and the
wait
review
a
for
second.
Superman
No, no,
Returns.
no, 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 no. What the fuck just happened, Chris? You literally.
I don't know. I don't know what's happening right now. TJ
Chris,
Turner said
the
he's having a
shot of
stroke. Is that me or is that him?
the close up of him taking his sunglasses off.
I don't
That is
fucking
100%
care.
CGI Robert Downey Jr.
What are we talking
No,
about
but
here?
we were talking about the goddamn movie.
I'm saying that just don't have fucking CGI Brandon Routh in close profile. I don't care if you're saying it's moving the needle
But
on
I'm
visual
saying
effects.
that that's a
It's
stepping
unnecessary.
stone to CGI Robert Downey Jr.
I don't care because it looks like shit. All these years later, you look at it, that looks terrible. Just get Brandon Routh in costume on a
But
fucking background
but
plate.
it's just
Like,
but if nobody did that, we don't get Thanos or Robert Downey Jr.
you would have got there. Superman Returns isn't the fucking linchpin of visual effects to get to that point. They were doing that shit with
It's
Gladiator in
just
like
no, but it's just
2000.
another stepping stone.
Yeah, and I'm saying you
People
can
got to
have
get better at it. Bath time. I saw one episode of The Expanse when my brother invited me over for beer and pizza with his friends, and I was really confused. Like that guy turned to goo.
See, this is where we differ, like on the CGI thing, because I think you can absolutely push the envelope on CGI, but I would rather have a film or a product that holds up and stands the test of time for decades and decades and looks great than just saying, "Oh, well, we're sort of there. Let's put this in now, and this is going to age by like next week." Like, I fucking hate that. Like, just get it.
Oh,
Like,
I mean, I'd certainly
what's more
rather have the
to
latter.
create what's more effort to create a somewhat for the time photorealistic depiction of Brandon Routh flying and smiling up into the camera, or just to get fucking Brandon Routh while you've got him on set and just stick him in front of a fucking blue or green screen, which they did, and just I just don't understand it at all. Yeah, when
Well,
you
I'm
got
assuming
shots where
this
it
was well after pickup. This was not only after principal photography, but pickup. So they couldn't. That wasn't an option at that point.
I don't know. There's some great CGI in this film, and then there's just some bits that just look
Like,
really, really
if,
ropey to me.
Chris, if the shot features a close up of CGI Brandon Routh, I think it is safe to say it was probably decided that they needed that after pickups.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not
It was
sure there.
definitely decided after principal. Yeah, also about that. Yeah, no, my brother keeps recommending it. I really should watch it. I hear it's pretty interesting from what I've heard. It seems quite interesting.
I'm then trying to think of anything else that's remarkable in this film. It really isn't. It's just it's a little bit of a slog, this one. Spacey's performance in the bit where he finds out that the kid is Superman's son. He
Oh, I
put
love it.
that he brings a lot of intensity to that moment, and I think one of his
Mr.
henchmen comes
Luthor,
in.
we've reached the coordinates.
Yeah, that's it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that that was so good. It's so good. Yeah, no, he delivers a
Yes, sir.
brilliant performance there, doesn't he? Um, what else? The music, John Ottman's score, using a lot of those John Williams themes.
Oh,
I heard
gorgeous.
that Bryan Singer said that he would refuse to direct this film if he couldn't use the Superman march, if he couldn't use that John Williams music. And John Ottman uses it, and in my opinion, elevates those themes to a whole other level. I absolutely love the reorchestration of so many of the themes in this. There's a song at the very end of the soundtrack called Reprise / Flyaway, I think is the name of the track. And you get the romance theme, the Lois and Superman romance theme, and it's like a beautiful crescendo into it. And it's so emotional, the strings in that part, and then segueing into the Superman march. It's my favorite rendition of the Superman march at the intro of this film. There's just so much more just power behind it, and even the Krypton theme as well has this this choir behind it, which is just absolutely angelic. And his new themes, just like the score, is some of like the new themes he works in as well, are beautiful too. Really, really underrated score, and yeah, it works using the Superman Returns music in this because it is a spiritual successor, I suppose, to the original, intentionally so. So it makes sense to use it. It doesn't make sense to use it in James Gunn's Superman. This is a reboot for a brand new universe. Fucking come up with a new theme. They did it for Man of Steel. You know, the music in Man of Steel paled in comparison to John Williams' theme, but at least they tried something new with it.
We'll be careful. You'll piss off Gideon.
Like, legitimately, right? If James Gunn's Superman is really, really fucking bad, it's going to be like the Star Wars sequel thing for me. It's where, you know, how everyone was like, oh, the prequels are the worst thing to ever happen to Star Wars. And then the sequel trilogy comes out and it's like, actually, you know what? The prequels aren't all that bad now because the scale has shifted now. We've got additional films that we can compare things to. And it's going to be the same with this.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, that hasn't really happened.
It hasn't for you. Because you like The Last Jedi. So we're not going to get into that.
No. It hasn't really happened in, like, the common households. Like, the people who really like the prequels are the people who liked... No.
There's been a huge turnaround with the prequels, dude.
When they came out, when they were kids.
There has been a noticeable turnaround from love and appreciation for the prequels now, and George Lucas.
Like, it seems like people who
haven't been noticing. There really has.
They're not embedded in the fandom when, like, people who are just like, I watched those movies. They are still like, the prequels are shit.
When you had that documentary back in the 2000s,
and those are movies.
You had that documentary, like The People versus George Lucas. You had, of course, the Plinkett reviews were instrumental in this as well. Everyone more or less had the shared notion of the prequels are terrible and George Lucas ruined Star Wars and ruined our childhoods. Now with the sequel trilogy, there's been a huge 180, a massive, noticeable market. Obviously, you've still got people who go, oh, these films are still shit. But there's way more of an appreciation now for George Lucas now that we've seen what Disney's done. I'm just saying,
I have not heard, outside of dedicated Star Wars fan bases, of this. Like, I have not heard of... Oh, you know what? I don't give those movies enough credit. I have not heard that outside of specifically groups of people who identify as Star Wars fans.
It's like a whole, perhaps I judged you too harshly thing. And I think that's honestly might be the same for Superman for me. Superman Returns, will I ever watch this movie again? Probably not, honestly. I genuinely can't remember the last time I watched this in full before today, right before we went live. There's nothing really about this film that will bring me back to it. I'll still go back to Donner's Superman. I'll still go back to Superman 2. And hell, I probably will go back to Superman 3. Superman 4, I'm not sure yet. Maybe. But there's still a charm to those films that I love to revisit. Whereas this one's just a little bit dull. It's just a bit of a slog. And Man of Steel as well. I can't fucking stand that film. But I do want to try and, if I can, rewatch Man of Steel before Saturday, just so I've it's fresh in my mind, because I will have a new frame of comparison on Saturday when I see this new iteration of Superman. And it doesn't look good from what I've seen. I'm hoping that when I see the full film in context, all of those fears are just allayed and I have a great time. But every clip I've seen, it looks like an ugly film, that the script, the jokes aren't landing for me. When Superman's saying stuff like, "What the hey, dude? Hey, what's going on?" Like Mark Wahlberg, I'm like, what are we fucking doing? What are we doing? Look how they massacred my boy. We'll see though.
But
I want to keep an open mind
but
with
you're
it.
not we're not doing a Man of Steel review before this.
No, probably not.
If you want to see us talk about Man of Steel, go over to my channel.
Carl says
from really hard.
From the trailers, it's so hard to say what the story is about of the new film. Just looks like a mishmash of stuff. There have been some leaks, and you can pick up dribs and drabs. I've heard that they've edited it down by like 20 minutes to remove a lot of the hokey jokes. Apparently, it was way too like buffoonery and too many jokes. So Warner Brothers went in and cut 20 minutes out of it, is what I heard. I heard there's a scene where Lex has a portal to other dimensions, which is probably where that kaiju comes from. And there's a scene, a semi-autobiographical scene of James Gunn, obviously self-insert here, about when he got cancelled that time by Disney when some of his old tweets were resurrected. And there's apparently a subplot in there, or it could be the main plot, I don't know, where Lex has some interdimensional monkeys typing at typewriters or on a computer. No, on a computer, that's it. Hashtagging #supershit. And besmirching Superman's name, which really irks Superman. He doesn't like that. So, yeah, that's probably what we're going to get. Right, but we will be back on Saturday for our review of that. So we will see what will be with James Gunn's Superman. Before we finish off tonight, JX, where can people find you?
You can find me at youtube.com/JXEditor. You can assume that I'm using my finger to point at the link as it goes, but that's
old
you
habits.
Can't see that.
Old habits.
As I teased last week, I'm wait. When Superman got stabbed, he was really vulnerable and helpless, as if he were trapped in some sort of.
There we go. You thought we forgot it right before the end.
That was close, man. I was worried there. I realized our mistake, but whew, oh my god.
There we go. Do we think that?
I do fan edits of movies, and I'm currently working on a fan edit of the Star Wars prequels. That is, I teased it last week. If you want to see what that was,
yeah, absolutely. You sent me some clips.
Come check me out.
I'm intrigued about what's the final product of this thing. I think it's going to be very interesting. It's a big overhaul. So forget what you've known, because this is completely different. And obviously,
in the words of the guy from Willow, forget what you know and what you think you know.
And of course, let us know your thoughts on Superman Returns as well if you haven't done so already, or checking this out before. Maybe you're also rewatching the Superman films in the lead up to the new one, because for better or worse, I think it's going to be a big movie, at least for the opening weekend. There's something about those DC characters, your Batman, your Supermans, and yeah, really just that, your Batman and your Supermans that get asses in seats. And please do consider subscribing as well for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. Me and Dale did a really fun video last night about the Black Sabbath concert that we went to see, so please feel free to check that out. And me and Dale will be back on Wednesday, continuing our Studio Ghibli retrospective we'll be talking about the very sad and very depressing Grave of the Fireflies. So I'll be watching that very cheery movie tomorrow night in preparation for that. And of course, JX, you'll be joining me with Dale, hopefully on Saturday, for our review of the new Superman movie. So I'm looking forward to that. That's probably going to be 10 p.m. So yeah, just subscribe to the channel, follow the community post for all the times and everything. That'll do it for us tonight.
I'll probably dive in a little bit after 11.
Yeah, we'll steer the ship until you can join us, man. So yeah, thank you for everyone who tuned in tonight and commented, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Take care, everyone.
Carthago de Linda Est.